Hey traders, Parker here with another indicator. Today I've been introduce you to the VPA bundle and basically volume price action bundle. Right now we're on the Bed Bath & Beyond stock. So let's zoom in and let's get into the indicator. What you're looking at is what I would call the Buy Sell Pressure map. And it finds the biggest buying and selling pressure areas on the day. It starts over every day. The pre-market would be cyan and magenta. The open market will be green and red, and the after hours will be this light red and light green color. So it gives you 3 parts of the day. So we can look right here, and it's multi-time frame, so you can put on whatever time frame. Right now I have it on 5 minutes, so you can see right here, this was the biggest volume of biggest buying pressure during the pre-market, and it acted as a support area. And within that, this cyan, this purple color, magenta, acted as a resistance, but was able to come back up above it. But it acts as an area of support and resistance. And if you look right here, when it came into this area, it came down to this selling pressure cloud right here, or selling pressure right here, but it acted as support, and it bounced above it, and then it finally was not able to hold it, and it finally just crashed down. And that's that indicator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of everything else so we can examine the indicator by itself. And that's what I wanted to show you. You can see this magenta candle, the selling pressure right here during the pre-market. This is the highest selling pressure during the pre-market. And we can go across, and this is the after hours. You can see when it finally did overcome all this right here, it came into this, it started over for the day, because you can look right here, this is 3 a.m. while this right here is 6:50. So we come over here to start another day. This is after hours, and this after hours cloud played resistance over here. It kind of acted as a little area of support, but it finally just broke down through. And if I put the volume back on there, you can actually see that this is high volume. So I'm just going to hide this volume deal right there. You can see this is ultra high volume. These yellow candles are ultra high volume, which crashed all the way through. This bright red is high volume. This light green is average volume. This orange is light average volume as well. These dark green and dark red is below ultra low volume. And these white candles are ultra buying candles, buying pressure in through those candles. So we're gonna go across to the next day, and you can see this is the highest area of selling pressure right here. The stock pulled back, burst up through with ultra high volume to the buy side. Then it crashed down with ultra high selling to the downside. But this area of buying pressure acted as an area of resistance afterwards. Just like Ann Coulin's book, an area of once resistance is broken, it becomes an area of support, and vice versa. Once support is broken, it becomes an area of resistance. When it broke down below, this area right now became an area of resistance for the day. So this is the highest buying pressure candle right here. It broke up, couldn't sustain it, but you had all this high volume to the downside, and it crashed down back into this area right here of selling pressure, which acting as an area of support, but it crashed down below. And you can see it kept bumping back into that same area, and it acted as an area of resistance throughout the whole entire day. After hours, it tried to break back above, but this area right now is acting as resistance. So we're coming back to the next day, and the clouds follow through to the next day, and you can look right here. This after hours played a part in support once it crashed down. So we're gonna look right here. This is the last candle for that day, and this is the new candle for the following day. So you had buying pressure and selling, a lot of buying pressure and selling pressure on this same candle. Then it finally just crashed through. So we're gonna go to the next, to the open, and this same area at the support, it crashed down. It at the resistance, came back up, tried to get back in this area, couldn't at there's resistance, and now this at their support, but it broke down as well. So now we have these pre-market highs right here of the buying and selling pressure, and it acted as an area of resistance. This acted as an area of resistance as well, the after hours from the previous day, and this area right here, this buying pressure at the open, acted as support for a little while, but had this ultra high selling candle right here, which broke down below, and you can look right here. This same area that was support is acting as resistance. So it bounced up there, couldn't sustain it, and broke back down. It was able to climb back up, and it finally broke above, but it had to break above with ultra high volume, but it still acted as resistance right here. So it came back, burst back up, ultra high volume, but this pre-market area of resistance stopped it for a little while, and then it finally was able to break above. So now we're going to come over to this next day, and you can see right here, you had this high pre-market volume, right? Pre-market pressure right here, and this was your highest selling pre-market pressure right here. This is your highest pre-market buying pressure right here. Then what actually crossed over to this point. So from there, you have this. I guess you can call it a high wave candle, indecision candle, and it actually acted as resistance at first. Then it acted as support. It burst up above with all this buying pressure, and it created this area of selling up here, but it's buying down here, and you can see this area in between acted as resistance. At their support down here, at their support, then it broke down below at their resistance. And one of the things we have to bring in is the irregular bodies indicator. So VPA Bono. And if you look at these irregular bodies, they tell a tale. This blue triangles on these irregular bodies shows you a small body on high volume. Small body, big volume. And the magenta candles right here show you big bodies on low volume. And if you unfamiliar with Ann Coulin's book, Volume Price Analysis, check it out, and she goes into great detail, because this move right here is not predicated on volume. This big candle, this big down candle right here, and you can see it got pushed back up, and immediately you had this high volume candle right here to the buy side, but it couldn't overcome this area of resistance. Same situation right here. You had this big candle to the downside, but it's on average volume, but it was still, you continue down, but this area still at this support until, like I said, it broke this at their support. Now it at their support, but it broke down below on these low volume candles right here. So you got all this pressure down here, and I actually came to the after hours from the previous day, and it created another area of support. So it broke up. This right here is a big candle on low volume. So let's bring in volume now, because I'm talking, and you can see all this low volume, or these light candles are considered average volume, and all it is average volume, or I consider it low volume. And then you had this high volume right here to break above it. Low volume come back down, and then you had a high volume, irregular body right here. You can see with the candle, so it created, and the irregular bodies with the blue candles acts as different types of pressure as well. So this, I would consider this pressure to the upside, and that's exactly what happened when it was released, or that pressure was released. You had this ultra high volume to the buy side, and it kept pushing, and it was able to crack back into this area of resistance, but it wasn't enough to crack above this area of resistance right here, because sellers came back in and sold it all. You create this candle right here, irregular body, small body, big volume, and they tried to bring it down this with this larger body but small volume, large body, low volume. And it just show you where this area consolidation, because it kept trying to break back above in there, but it finally got brought back down with this ultra high sell candle and ultra high volume sell candle as well down there. But it came back to this area of support from the pre-market. So we come to the day when Bed Bath & Beyond broke out. So this is our after hours. This is our biggest selling and buying candle from the previous day. We can go in there. We can cut those off. You can cut all this stuff off as well before I continue. So we can hide pre-market and we can hide after hours, and then we're just left with the open market, biggest buying and selling pressure open market. And you can literally see right here where selling pressure brought everything down, and this is your biggest selling pressure candle right here. But look at right here, you have these irregular bodies right here at the bottom of this candle. It created an area of support, which sellers couldn't bring it down any further. They tried, but you got these irregular bodies. You got big volume on small candles, big volume, small candle, and then you had this big buying candle right here, buying pressure right here. You had this irregular body, big candle, small volume right there, which tells you right there this move down is not significant because on such low volume. And then from there, the stock went ahead and rose up. But let's put the pre-market back on there. Look what happened. It ran back into this area of resistance. And it finally broke above it with this ultra high volume candle to the buy side. Immediately, if you recognize this is a 3-bar play with two big candles on and one small candle in the middle is a 3-bar play. And it's bullish and can be bearish to the downside as well. So we're looking at it, and you have this irregular body. You have this big volume on small candle, which shows you there's a lot of pressure right there. And this candle, if you go according with the buy sell pressure formula, almost is balanced to the buy and sell side. But this same resistance area at their support. Look at it, support. You had another big ultra high buying in this area, and then you had this somewhat like consolidation. I'm gonna say it's a flag with these 3 irregular bodies. These two are ultra high volume, and this is high volume right there, and it's trying to break above, but it couldn't get all the way up there. So from there, it flagged out, and then it finally had this ultra high volume to the buy side and ultra high volume, and it carried it above. So that's the buy sell pressure map, and I have it set for 5 minutes. So it's multi-time frame, so you can actually change it to whatever time frame that you want to change it to. 15 minutes to give you a clear picture, especially you're not getting as many clouds, but you can see you had all the selling pressure to the downside at the support, and all it had to do was break up out of this area. And one of the ways that I like to use it, I have multiple charts open, but I normally keep it on the 5 minute, and sometimes I push it up above, but putting it on a 5 minute and then changing it over to a 1 minute chart. And the candles are doing that because my volume multi-time length doesn't have a 1 minute, or I haven't designated 1 minute. And once I designate it, that's what we get. And you can see those, once we brought it back down to a 5 minute, you can see here's that 5 minute candle with all that selling pressure. And you can see all this consolidation until you get this big ultra high buy candle, and then it started flagging. You had a flagpole, but it brought back down, but it stayed within this box of buying pressure. Stayed within this box and created this another huge box or flagpole, and it's flagging, and then it finally broke out. And this is the way that I use it. I usually have a 5-minute and a 1-minute chart open. You can find the 1-minute flags. You can find the 5-minute flags. But this is the indicator, the main indicator for this volume price analysis bundle. So let's go back to the 5-minute. Well, I have to fix the volume because with my volume, you have these designated time frames for these designated links. And these are the different time frames I like to look at: 5, 10, 15, 30, hour, and a day. These the volume map is dedicated to intraday charts. It won't work on a daily time frame. So just to let you know, let's bring everything back into it. And this is everything that you're going to be getting with this bundle. And let me go back down to the 5-minute. And let me isolate this other indicator as well. So this is, let me get rid of that. So if you watched my previous video, this is the squeeze indicator that I presented to you with the Bollinger Bands constricting, which create the squeezes. These three lines is the high of the average, the close of the average, and the low of the average. And that's how I use it to show me breakouts, especially like this. I would consider this a breakout in a flagpole on a 5-minute. But if I put the volume thing back on, you can see it got stopped out. Same situation here. You had this big volume up and went to a squeeze, and you waiting for the squeeze to end, and it finally broke above. And right now I have it set on a 20 minutes, but we can push it. I mean 20 period average, but normally I keep it on a 12. And the way that it was initially presented to me after was putting it on a simple move average and keeping it on a 20. And you can see right here, you had all this selling pressure to the downside. It pushed back up on good volume right here, but this is an irregular body. But it still gave you a pivot, a buying pressure to the high side. And it hit this low, went to the squeeze, and came back down. But you can see right here, this is low volume or average volume. Hit the squeeze, and then once the squeeze in it, down. Squeeze. And you can manipulate the squeeze however you want to. You can actually have these dots shown as well if you're uncomfortable with the clouds. And you can see right here, you had these two squeeze dots. You're not going to get a cloud for one candle. It has to be multiple candles before you get a cloud. But it alerted you, hey, these two candles showed you a squeeze, and it's on low volume. And you had this big volume up, which someone like it was flagging. And then all this ultra high volume to the buying side. This gray candle is just showing you that buying and selling pressure is balanced. But that's how you would use that indicator right there. And we can look over here as well. And it helps find breakouts, or for me, breakout areas within stocks. And you can see right there another constriction. Or if you are familiar with the Bollinger Bands, they represent volatility within the stock. So when the Bollinger Bands are pushing out or diverging outward, they are showing the volatility. The stocks will be moving up or moving down somewhat violently. But when the Bollinger Bands are converging, coming together, it represents the quiet period, or for me, it represents the squeezing. So that's this indicator right here. There was an update that I did to my volume with Buy Sell Pressure MTL. So let me get rid of the volume first. So if you look, these are the different levels within my volume. I went away from the high average candles and I decided just to go with the with a percentage from average. So this middle line right here, you can see right here, this is the average of the candles. This is 50% above the average, and this is 50% below the average. This gives me anything that breaches this gives me my ultra high volume. Anything that's below this purple area, it gives my ultra low candles, and anything that's above or in between above this average will give me my bright green candles, and anything that's in this area right here will give me my orange and the light green candles, which shows you just average volume. And that can be manipulated. So I put volume average percent. You can manipulate that if you want something higher. You can change that. These are the irregular bodies that are in there. You can show those or don't show those, and you can see all these candles breached above this 50% of the average volume, and that's what gave you your ultra high volumes. And anything that was in between this area gave you high volume. So that's now how my volume indicator works. So we're gonna get that off, and let's go to another indicator within this bundle, which you all should be familiar with, but I made some changes to this one as well. The Buy Sell Pressure average difference divergence is a lot, but it's simple. You should be familiar with this, but this is basically Buy Sell Pressure average difference indicator. And it has divergences in it. This one line right here is the momentum line, and it's basically showing you the difference. It's adding up the difference between the candles, and it gives you momentum if it's to the buy side or to the sell side. So going from to the sell side, you going from the sell side from red to pink, buying pressure coming in, and then going to white when you enter into the buying, and then from if you're above zero, and then if you're above zero, it'll go blue if buying pressure is decreasing. So it's all about increasing and decreasing of buying pressure and momentum. And you can see right here. So let's go to, and right now I have this on a 12 period, but you can change that. But this is going to be a part of the bundle as well. And I changed my the labels to average percent. So you have buying volume average percent is 45, selling average percent is 54. I need to find another stock where it's green. But anyway, so this label can be seen better. I'll probably change the color of that label. You should be able to see it better now. I got rid of the red and put in a down tick color, but you can see it's negative. Difference between buying and selling average is negative 22.54%. And the same situation with the buying, even though it's showing 43, this is the average of the buying average itself, and this is the average of the selling average itself. And you can see right here, I should be able to paint the bars as well. So you should be able to paint the bars according to the difference as well. So you got one right here, but you can see it's not significant. So that's where you bring in the volume as well. But you can see right here, this is not as significant, and you will want to wait for a second candle as well. So it went right back down, and this is basically showing you the just like the MACD, it's showing you with the difference down here of buying and selling. And you can see right here, I probably would have got in on these two candles on this one particular, especially because the momentum is crossing back above zero, and it seems as if it's holding zero. And this is the really run up right there with the buying. and you had another one right there. And you had the volume shift down where selling came in, and it started selling, but boom, you had all this buying coming in. And I believe I put in the MTL as well. So you have these designated time frames or designated links for those time frames. You can show divergence system signals. You can cut those off, and those basically those arrows show labels, don't show labels, show label for the volume, and average type. And this is on the average as well. And if you're familiar with my volume labels, this is shift up in colors as well, according to the difference average or the momentum. So if the momentum is pushing up from the downside, it'll go to pink. And if it's then this will be bright green. If it's above and buying pressure is momentum is pushing up, it'll show the label will show green. And if it's above zero and the sellers are stepping in and it's going down, it'll show the label will turn light green, from bright green to light green to red. And that's the flow of the indicator. And the last indicator that's in this bundle is just the labels right here. As you see, just like that label just shifted from it shifted to black. I mean, well, once the indicator finally came up. Right now it's at 0, so it's gonna show yellow. And it's just basically going off of this after hours trading right here. And we can actually go to 1 minute, and you should be able to see the shift better. And this one doesn't have a 1 minute in there, so it's not even going to show. So that's the only problem that you'll have with the multi-time frame links. You can see this label shifted to pink, and this one's shifted to green. And the difference between this different average and this different is this is actual and this is on an average. These are on all average. This is actual. And you can see also, you can see also the divergences that are in there for the buying and selling. And that's pretty much the end of this indicator. One other feature I wanted to show you with the map. If you don't like the clouds, just go cut all the clouds off and cut the lines on, and the lines are going in accordance with the clouds. So you can see how everything goes right there with it. So I'm gonna go back to the 5 minute, and you can see they still show you the same thing. Came into that area. So whatever you like or don't like, that's why I usually like making all my indicators fully customizable, where you can change or do whatever you really want to do with these things. So even if you don't like the colors I chose for the clouds, you can change all that as well. You can change all of those colors, show the line. So in one sense, I could want to just show open market. And I'm gonna hide the open market lines. And now I'm left with my pre-market. Everything else is just have my clouds, and I can see this pre-market. So that's one other feature of this. And just like I said before, it's multi-time frame. So I wanted to see what buying and selling pressure look like on an hourly basis. This is what you get. Pre-market was down here, and then open market is what you're seeing with these clouds. So I'm going to get rid of the lines, and I'm going to unhide these, and I'm going to hide the lines. And this is what it looks like on an hourly basis. And this is you can use this as an hourly support and resistance system. Excuse me. But I was showing you the different areas of buying and selling within the day. And like I said, it won't work on if you put on a daily chart. You can try and pushing it up. It may give you something, but it's not gonna be in accordance. It's gonna give you something like this, but in all actuality, this is just the pre-market stuff, and it's really not giving you anything. So I'm gonna put my lines back on there because I'm still interested in Bed Bath and Beyond. And like I said before, it's not gonna give you anything that you can really use on the daily chart. So just bring it back down to the intraday chart, and I'm gonna put it back on the hour, and we can look on the S&P 500. And all the indicator does is really just maps out the buying and selling pressure for you throughout the day. You can see this complete sell-off right here in the S&P 500 on the hourly create this area after this candle was done, became like an area of support, but it broke down below, and then it created this area of support, then it broke down below. And you can see right here within this area how it created those areas of support and resistance and buying and selling pressure on the hourly. So let's push it to the 15-minute or whatever time period that works best for you. So, and this is what we get on a 15-minute. It tried to this big green candle right here was probably buying, and it had this support until it finally collapsed through. And we can put my volume indicator back on there, and you can probably see that it was indecision area. Or like I've heard some of the other people that I follow call this is a balanced area of buying and selling, but then buying and selling was balanced here, but finally selling overtook it and it collapsed down. And this is pretty much the end of this video. I appreciate you guys taking the time out to watch it and listen to what I had to say. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. If you found this interest, please leave me a like. And if you have any suggestions or comments or anything, please leave me in the comment section. I wish you all the best. Stay safe out there, and God bless.